Hello, and welcome to Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. My name is Mary Bear Shannon. I'm a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine comes to you via Facebook Live every second Monday of the month. It's also the time of the month where we have our Cookbook Club, which is a group that has been meeting for close to a decade. It is a group of very good cooks who like to talk about cooking and share recipes. Of course, we have not been able to meet in person since last March, so we have been meeting on Zoom, but that is soon to be remedied. I think we are going to have our first in-person meeting at a park in June. So if you are a lapsed Cookbook Club member, because you really can't handle another Zoom call, please be on the lookout for more information about us meeting in a park in June. And again, we normally meet on the second Monday of the month. But anyway, for Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine, I am cooking for our cookbook club that is going to be tonight on Zoom. And I am cooking from a cookbook. The group, it was May and they were thinking about Cinco de Mayo. So I actually kind of searched back in my memories of a really good Mexican cookbook that we'd already done a number of years ago. And so we're doing this again. It is Simply Mexican by Lourdes Castro. So much so that I actually have the cookbook, and it is a really good one, and I've really liked all the recipes I have made from it. And so we are going to be cooking chicken enchiladas with tomatillo sauce. Now I make enchiladas. My kids really like them, but I have really been more of a red sauce kind of enchilada cooker. So this is my first time making it with tomatillo sauce and without all that red goo. So this is going to be new for me as well. So again, welcome to Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. I'm a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. Just a couple of notes about the library. Many of you know that we are open. Yay! And we are for browsing, kind of grab and go service in the library, which is we're really excited to see everybody again. We are open, and you can come and browse and find our good cookbooks. We have a lot of really good new cookbooks and other titles for you to browse. So the other thing is our public access computers are now available. So if you need to come in and use the computers, you can do that. We're also taking book donations. That's something that I finally have some glimpses that, the pandemic might be over, because we are actually taking donations at the library. Just don't overwhelm us. We do limit it to 10 boxes, and we do ask them to be in good shape. And we are always grateful to our friends group that processes our book donations and gets them ready for sale, and all of those proceeds go back to the library. So we're always really grateful to the friends for the work that they do for us. And then lastly, we are doing some programming in the park. The Cookbook Club, I'm hoping, will meet in June in a park. But we also have story times every Thursday morning at 10:30 in May. So be on the lookout. You can find the Facebook event and some events on our calendar and on our website about where we're at different parks throughout the month. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, so we are going to be talking about Mexican cooking. There are some ingredients that you may not be terribly familiar with, so I wanted to go over them a little bit. One is a tomatillo, and some people actually call it a green tomato, and it looks like this. It actually has kind of a husk on the outside, but as Lourdes Castro says, it's not anywhere near the tomato family. And I'm going to just read what she says about tomatillos. She says, it's a fruit. It's enclosed in a papery thin husk. It's often mistakenly called a green tomato. It is not related to the tomato, but is rather part of the gooseberry family, and has a fresh, tart taste. They vary in size. They're usually about 2.5 inches in diameter. And when you take off the husk and peel it off, they tend to have a sticky coating, which you can easily wash off. She also recommends that you can get them in canned, but she really recommends you get fresh. I was not sure where I was going to find it. I have found them at Giant, and I did actually find it at Giant. Most places now do have tomatillos, and it really, I have to agree. I think there's a really nice fresh taste once you get that ready. So that's about tomatillos. The other things that I wanted to tell you about that's going to be in this recipe is one is crema. And I actually did find this. I found it at Walmart. And crema is kind of a it can be substituted with sour cream. Mexican crema is much thinner, and the consistency and richer in flavor. And it is a full fat cream, and it can be used in hot foods and recipes without breaking the sour cream. Without breaking, sour cream is partially made with skim milk and will separate. So, but you can use crema in hot dishes. Pay attention to the label when purchasing the crema because there is both a sour and a sweet variety. While it's a matter of taste, the sour variety is one most often used and the one she uses for her recipes in this book. And then the last thing that we're going to be working with today is queso fresco. And again, this is similar to, it's a crumbly cheese. It's used with, made with fresh cow's milk. And it has a similar texture to farmer's cheese. And it is slightly salty. Sometimes people trade out, feta. That could be something, but queso fresca is definitely unique to the recipes that we're going to be doing today. So anyway, let's get started, and I'm going to take you over to my kitchen, and I'm going to show you chicken enchiladas with green tomatillo sauce. If anybody else has ever worked with tomatillos or if they make enchiladas, let me know in the comments. Let me know what your experiences are. What do you usually normally use in your making of your enchiladas? And what are your favorite ingredients that you might not necessarily make with other things that you make in the kitchen? So here we go. Again, we are in my kitchen, and again, I'm gonna show you my how I make this. You won't get to see me, but you'll see my midsection while I show you how I make these enchiladas. So the first thing, it's chicken. So I'm going to show you, this is really different. I have never actually made my chicken this way. Usually I just saute it up in a pan. This actually asked for the chicken to be poached, and it was poached for 35 minutes in just a saucepan with water, 2 bay leaves, I used like half an onion, some oregano, some salt, and then just kind of let all those flavors kind of seep in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to shred my chicken. I've already shredded one, and I'm going to show you how, basically it's just, as you can see, just kind of breaking this apart and tearing at the chicken to kind of shred it up. Shouldn't be too hard because it's well cooked, but I do have a little bit of the kind of the flavored water that I kind of have this other chicken kind of sitting in to keep it moist. But we're just shredding it on the kind of on the fibers, and this is what's going to go in the enchilada. So I'm halving this recipe because I'm not making a ton of these. But I will show you how we assemble everything and show you the final product. Usually I don't get to that point, but these are basically warm. You cook them, you assemble them, you warm it up, and then you serve it. So I'm going to show you that final product. I usually just roll up my enchiladas and stick them in the oven, kind of like a lasagna, and it's probably not the way you're supposed to do it. But anyway, here we go, and I have shredded up. So again, this is some chicken, and I'm just going to stick this in the bowl, and this is going to be used, we're going to heat this up before we stick it into the we roll it up in the enchiladas. So that is the shredded chicken. Now we're gonna get started. I'm gonna pull my camera just a little closer here so you can see. I'm just gonna heat up about a tablespoon of oil, and we're gonna saute our onions, and then eventually we're gonna add our chicken to kind of warm this up. But while this is kind of heating up, and these are my onions, I'm going to stick these in as soon as this kind of gets warm. And then I'm going to show you how to make the tomatillo sauce, which you know, is really different. I've made tomatillo sauce, but I haven't made it that often. So and I just love the flavor. It's so fresh, and you know, just to me, it's just a very summery. So I'm going to stick these onions in here, and we're going to cook these until they're translucent or limp. And while that cooks, we're just going to, because you know, we don't want to just watch the pan here. I'm actually going to show you how to make the tomatillo sauce. So here comes my blender, and we're going to make this tomatillo sauce in the blender. Okay, so a couple of things to put in here, and we're basically going to put everything in, and then we're going to blend it in the blender. So the things that you want to make sure are in here are a pound of tomatillos, and I have peeled these, and I have I've taken the husks off, and I have rinsed them, and then just quartered them. So they're going to go in here. And the next thing is, now it asks for 2 jalapenos. There's just no way I'm going to be able to get 2 jalapenos down. So I cheated, and I basically did just a little bit of jalapeno, because I really I don't have a lot of tolerance for a lot of heat. So I put in some. You can put them in as many as you want, whatever, you know, makes you happy. For me, that's plenty. But the recipe does call for 2 jalapenos, stemmed and halved. I actually also took the seeds and the filament out, because they really are kind of the hottest part of the jalapeno. And the other thing is, once you deal with jalapenos, wash your hands. Don't touch anything that, like your eyes afterwards. That would be bad. The other thing I'm going to put in here is a cup of lightly packed, just a cup of fresh cilantro. So we're going to put that in there. And the next thing is 1 clove of garlic. And I didn't do anything to this, I just peeled it. Eventually, we are actually going to have to kind of scrape this to make sure everything gets nice and blended. And then half an onion, and I just have this quartered. All right, and then we're going to put a teaspoon of salt, just a teaspoon of salt in there, and then lastly 2 tablespoons of water. And this is just going to make the blending a little easier. So we're going to get started, and I am going to keep watching these onions, because we want to get them all ready to go here. Okay, so we're going to turn this on, and we are going to chop. And we're going to hope that we're going to actually make sure that everything is on. I wasn't completely engaged here. Here we go. All right. So, and I'm going to, little by little, kind of scrape things down. If you had a food processor, that might also work, but it asked for a blender, so we're gonna do that. And little by little, as you can see, it's just starting to. And I don't advise opening this up while it is going. Even though I have done that, it's not terribly safe to stick your spatula down when the blender is going. That could be dangerous. So we're just going to continue to mix this up. And eventually the all going to be incorporated. And we're just going to keep kind of pushing this down and getting this so that the blades will engage all of our ingredients. And oops. And we're gonna, so I think this is what we wanted it to look like, and as you can see, this is just a it's a kind of a watery sauce. Eventually we're going to use it on the top, but we're also going to dip our enchiladas before we roll them, which is something new. I've never done that before. And then, so we've got that, and we're going to put this away, and okay, so we are going to go back to our onions here, and we are going to, just want to take a look at my recipe here. We've done the onion, and then we are going to put the chicken in here and toss it with the onions so that they are, that's going to be the filling for our enchiladas. Okay, and we're basically just heating this up. The chicken is already cooked. We're just getting it warm so that the dish will be warmed through. And then the next things we're going to do is we're actually going to fry our tortillas and then dip them in the tomatillo sauce, and then actually put them in. Use it. Then we're going to wrap the chicken in the with the tortillas. So this is just going to kind of warm up, and we're going to keep an eye on that. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to start to build these enchiladas, and it is kind of a three-part assembly line. You're going to put some oil in a pan, and I'm going to use this one over here. And I'm going to kind of heat this up. Actually, I'm going to put about, I'm just going to put about it calls for about 1/3 of a cup. And I do need one more saute pan. So I'm going to pull one out here. Good thing I have another one handy. And I'm actually going to put the tomatillo sauce in that pan and kind of heat it up. So we're going to put the sauce into a saute pan, and eventually we are actually going to we're going to fry the tortillas very quickly, and then we are going to dip them in the tomatillo sauce, and then we are going to roll them with the chicken. So anyway, so we're going to put this here, and actually I'm going to switch these so that you can see this better, and we're going to just put this on kind of low, and we're going to put the tomatillo sauce in this pan over here, and we are going to heat that up. So everything's going to be nice and warm for our assembly. So we're going to put that on the back burner, and we're going to kind of heat that up just kind of low. And again, we are cooking, just getting this chicken kind of warm. So this is getting ready, and I'm going to use, now this calls for corn tortillas. I don't like corn tortillas. I just don't like them. So I'm using some flour tortillas for this. I think you can use either one. I think it really is your preference. So I'm going to take these one at a time, and I'm heating this up. I'm going to get this up a little higher. I'm literally only going to heat these fry them on either side about 15 seconds, and then I am going to transfer it to my plate. This is going to be where I actually assemble everything, and then I am going to put it on a kind of a plate for presentation. Okay, so again, this is kind of new, so bear with me here. I am going to make sure this tomatillo sauce is kind of warmed through. The chicken is nice and warm now with the onions, and we're going to make sure that the tomatillo gets kind of warmed up too. Oops. Here we go. Now I'm going to transfer this, put the tomatillo sauce here, and we're just going to kind of warm this up. Okay. So, just give this a minute to kind of heat up. We don't want to put this on cold. And then, so we're going to do that. That's still pretty chilly. Okay. So, well, let me show you this because, you know, just for time. So I'm taking these, I'm using these kind of soft tacos and fajitas. You could do tortilla size. I like these kind of little ones. And I'm going to get this hot enough, and I'm really just going to do 15 seconds on one side and 15 seconds on the other, and then I'm going to dip it in the tomatillo sauce, and then I'm going to roll it. Okay? So, here we go. Again, we're just 15 seconds. I'm watching the clock, and just to kind of get them a little crisp, another 5 seconds on this, and then we're gonna, and again, it's just lightly, and another 5 seconds or 10 seconds on this side, and then, okay, then we're gonna just let it drip. We are going to put this in the tomatillo sauce. Just dip it so it's completely covered. And then I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to take some of my chicken and I'm going to put it here. Maybe about a quarter cup. You know, not a whole lot because you don't want it to be too full. And then you're going to just roll this up. And you're going to put it seam down on, this is kind of your presentation plate. And I'm going to do this one more time so I can show you. You're going to take the tortilla. Again, it calls for corn. I use flour because that's just my preference. I ate corn tortillas in Tijuana, and they were lovely and fresh, but I was not well that day, and I just haven't forgotten it, so I really prefer the flour. So another, say 5-10 seconds here, not long at all. This is just a light fry, and then you're going to turn it over, and see it's kind of puffing up here. Just another, I'm going to turn this down just a tad, and you're just kind of browning it lightly on either side, and then you're pulling it out, letting it drip, and then you're going to just basically putting it through the green tomatillo sauce. It's just giving that light kind of crispiness, and then putting it on the presentation plate. We're putting a little bit of chicken. Again, this is the poached chicken with a little bit of onions, and then we're going to roll this up. It's not too hot, so you can do this with your fingers. Okay, so I'm just going to show you here. We've got these beautiful enchiladas, and now I'm going to show you kind of the final presentation. This is crema. I got this at Walmart. And again, it says on the label table cream. It is much, it's definitely more liquidy than sour cream. And we're just going to pour this just over the top. This is the crema. And then, so again, not a ton, but enough to accent This is the queso fresco. I have crumbled this. Again, it's right. It kind of looks like either feta or farmer's cheese, and it does have kind of a saltiness. So we're just going to kind of crumble this on the top. And then the recipe calls for, a little bit of lettuce here on the top, and then the final garnish is some cilantro. So and that is it for chicken enchiladas with green tomatillo sauce. Here is our beautiful finished product, and that's it for today. I'm reading here one of Mary saying that she actually made the homemade crema. There is a homemade crema recipe in Simply Mexican. Again, this is the book. We do have it in the library. It's by Lourdes Castro. I think it's a really good Mexican cookbook, and she does have a homemade crema recipe. I just didn't have the time to do it tonight, so I'm looking forward to hearing what Mary has to say about her experience in terms of making homemade crema. But that is it for tonight. Thank you for joining me for Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine from my kitchen here in Havertown. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon, and I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. And have a great week.